Trump has been caught lying. He was not being audited by the IRS in the way that he claimed to be. This so far, we haven't yet gotten the tax returns themselves, but we will based on the House Ways and Means Committee vote yesterday. We're going to get the tax returns within a few days, maybe by the end of this week, maybe over the weekend, maybe by the start of next week, and we will deal with that. But one of the big takeaways is that the IRS mandatory audits for Trump when he became president were essentially non-existent. Trump lied, Sarah Huckabee Sanders lied, and so many of them lied. Let's go back to, we looked at some of this clip earlier. Congressman Lloyd Doggett explained Trump was not being audited. I hope I'm roughly at the right moment here. Let's see exactly where we are. Here we go.
2015 through 2020, just to be clear, yeah?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I think what I find surprising,
yes,
our focus had been on the IRS audit and whether it was being done properly, is the IRS did no audits at all until such time as the day they received Mr. Neal's request for these documents, and that day they requested the first audit. They have yet to complete a single audit of Mr. Trump. And I think they'll also be surprised by what's not there with the tax returns, and that is supporting data. Any taxpayer who goes in for audit has to produce some receipts and some affidavits and some substantiation, and that just seems to be missing from what we've been provided.
That is absolutely fascinating. So even what they have obtained, it seems as though they really haven't gotten the full data. Here is Congressman Richard Neal, who chairs the House Ways and Means Committee, expanding on this.
We argued for an examination of how the audit process played out. Once staff went to visit the IRS, and once staff had a chance to go to some of the other locations that are within the jurisdiction of the IRS, they quickly concluded that, in fact, the audit did not occur. There were no audits in a timely manner. And that goes, I think, for 2017, 2018, and 2019. And I'm restrained with the speech and debate clause from talking about the other issue that we had on our agenda. So the mandatory initiative, it highlights the idea that it's sort of a two-tiered system. If you are at the top, you really have no chance of getting audited. And as Steve Horsford pointed out today in our get-together of the Democratic caucus on the committee, your chances of being audited if you claim the earned income tax credit are far better than being audited for people who are at the very top of the economic system.
Now, that's an entire other story we should talk about. But this claim that the IRS is targeting rich conservatives certainly does not appear to be true, and that's a bigger story. As a reminder, here is Donald Trump claiming that everything is under audit and it's all so complicated nobody would understand it anyway. This was at the end of 2018 already.
Go ahead, John. He gave me a fair interview the other day, so I might as well ask him a question.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. And picking up there, you told me the other day that you are an open book. So
I think I am an open book.
So point blank, Democrats go after your tax returns. Will you try to block that, or will you allow them to have them?
Well, look, as I've told you, they're under audit. They have been for a long time. They're extremely complex. People wouldn't understand them. They're done by among the biggest and best law firms in the country. Same thing with the accounting firms. The accountants are a very, very large, powerful firm from the standpoint of respect.
Extremely powerful from the standpoint of respect. Don't forget that.
Respected. Big firm.
Big and wide firm. Girthy.
A great law firm, where you know it very well. They do these things. They put them in. But people don't understand tax returns. Now, I did do a filing of over 100 pages, I believe, which is in the offices. And when people went and saw that filing and they saw the magnitude of it, they were very disappointed. And they
cried and they said, "Sir, there's so many pages and such font."
Well, the detail, you'd get far more from that. And I guess we filed that now 3 times. But you get far more from that than you could ever get from a tax return. But when you're under audit, and I'm on a very continuous audit because there are so many companies, and it is a very...
It's like a Mobius strip of audits, quite frankly.
Big company, far bigger than you would even understand.
It's a bigger company than you've got, Jim.
It's a great company, but it's big. and it's complex, and it's probably feet high. It's a very complex instrument, and I think that people wouldn't understand it. But
I don't know if a tax return is an instrument, but okay, so there was Trump talking about even if it's all under audit, continuous audit, and it's too complicated for you to even understand. And then here was then Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders also making similar claims.
I want to answer one question, but I need to clarify something that you said from the podium here on taxes. You said, I think to Matt on Tuesday, that as long as his taxes are under audit, he's not going to release them. His 2016 taxes, to our knowledge, are not under audit, unless they are. Can you
my understanding, and I will double check, but the president's taxes, no matter who the president is, actually immediately go under audit after being filed. So that's actually
wasn't happening though.
Inaccurate. But I'll double check to be 100%
So my question
sure.
more broadly is, I want to answer one.
So lies after lies after lies. So I think the strategy here, first we need to see what we learned from the tax returns, and that may modify the strategy. But absent the content, remember, he said he would release his tax returns when Obama releases his birth certificate or whatever. The birth certificate we had, the tax returns he blocked. He was going to release his taxes if he won the presidency. He won the presidency in 2016, didn't release the tax returns. Once the audits were finished, he was going to release them. Turns out there weren't actually audits going on. So it's lie upon lie upon lie. We're going to get them. We're going to get them soon, and we're going to learn all about it. Folks, Friday, we are 2 days away from an incredible David Pakman Show event. We are doing an end of the year membership special where your first month's payment, and this applies to gifted memberships as well, will be donated to an organization that sends cash to people who need it. One of the most efficient ways of helping people is actually sending them cash so they can decide what for themselves what they most need. Your first month's payment on Friday, if you use the coupon code we're going to be creating, will be donated and doubled. We're going to be doubling the first $15,000. All you need to do to be ready for Friday is go to davidpakman.com, top right of the page. There's like a box where you put in your email address to get on our newsletter. Get on our newsletter. Friday morning, you will get instructions for how to sign up at a discount. We donate that first payment and it gets doubled the first $15,000. Incredible stuff. We'll take a quick break and be right back. You love nonfiction books. You love learning as much as you can about politics and economics and history and science, but you just don't have the time to read every book that you want to read. That's why I'm such a big fan of Blinkist. It's the app that takes thousands of nonfiction books, boils them down into an explainer that you can read or listen to in 15 minutes and get the most important insights from the book. You take a topic you've been wanting to explore, and you can consume 10 books about it in an afternoon. It gives you a meaningful overview and insight into what other books you might want to read in full. I just read Welcome to the Universe. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson's latest book. That's exactly the type of book that I would love to have the time to read, but my stack of books is already so big. My girlfriend and I also use the Blinkist Connect feature to share and discuss books with one another with one account, and it makes a great last-minute holiday gift. You can try Blinkist free for 7 days and get 25% off a subscription at Blinkist.com/Pacman. The link is down below.